Would this mysterious virus become the next global health threat? A deadly hantavirus outbreak aboard the luxury cruise ship MV Hondius has already claimed 3 lives, and now scientists are investigating something deeply alarming. Possible human-to-human transmission for the first time ever. The World Health Organization says this is not another COVID-19 situation. But passengers from 28 different countries had already left the ship before the outbreak was discovered. Some may have unknowingly carried the virus across the world. What really happened on that ship? Is the world facing a new danger? Or is this panic happening too soon? Stay with us until the end, because the details emerging from this international investigation are shocking and could change what we know about hantavirus forever. In news that is drawing global attention, the World Health Organization, WHO, has announced that the hantavirus outbreak discovered aboard the cruise ship MV Hondius should not be viewed as the beginning of another global pandemic like COVID-19, even though 3 people have died after being linked to the virus. WHO officials say there is currently no evidence showing that hantavirus can spread worldwide in the same way coronavirus did. Maria Van Kerkhove, an infectious disease expert at the WHO, explained that hantavirus does not spread as easily as COVID-19. According to her, transmission requires very close contact with an infected person or exposure to contaminated materials. This is very different from COVID-19, which was able to spread rapidly through the air among large groups of people, despite WHO's attempts to calm public fears. Health authorities around the world remain concerned because many passengers recently left the ship and traveled to different countries. Medical officials are now racing against time to identify and monitor everyone who may have come into contact with the infected individuals. So far, 5 out of the 8 suspected cases aboard the ship have been officially confirmed as hantavirus infections. Among those infected, 3 people have died. One of them was a 69-year-old Dutch woman who became the first confirmed fatality linked to the outbreak shortly afterward. Her Dutch husband also died, along with a German woman who had been traveling on the same ship. Investigators are still working to determine whether their deaths were directly caused by hantavirus or whether other medical conditions may have played a role. What has alarmed experts the most is the WHO's statement that signs of person-to-person transmission may have been detected for the first time during this outbreak. Traditionally, hantavirus has been known as a disease mainly transmitted by rodents, especially through exposure to rat or mouse droppings, urine, or contaminated dust particles. Normally, humans become infected after inhaling contaminated air in places where rodents have been present. However, the possibility that the virus may now spread between humans has raised serious questions among scientists and global health experts. The MV Hondius is a luxury expedition cruise ship operated by Oceanwide Expeditions. The vessel began its journey on April 1st from Ushuaia, Argentina, and was expected to arrive in the Canary Islands of Spain on May 10th after traveling through several remote regions. By the time the outbreak was identified, dozens of passengers had already disembarked from the ship. Reports indicate that many travelers left the vessel on St. Helena Island on April 24th. Increasing fears that the virus may have already spread to multiple regions around the world. The ship was carrying nearly 150 passengers and crew members from 28 different countries. Because of this international mix of travelers, health authorities are treating the situation with great urgency. Officials fear that infected individuals may have unknowingly returned to their home countries before the outbreak was fully understood. At the moment, WHO is urging people not to panic, but to remain cautious and continue following basic hygiene and health safety measures. Health experts are conducting deeper investigations to determine whether hantavirus has truly evolved into a virus capable of sustained human-to-human transmission. Scientists warn that if this is confirmed, it could represent a major turning point in the history of the disease and may force countries around the world to adopt new prevention and containment strategies. However, WHO also stresses that there are important reasons not to overreact. So far, the infections appear to be limited to a small group of people who were in very close contact aboard the same ship. There is currently no evidence of widespread community transmission outside the vessel. As the world closely follows this developing story, many people are wondering whether hantavirus could become the next global health crisis or whether the outbreak will remain contained. For now, WHO insists there is no proof that the situation has reached the level of an international pandemic threat. Still, Health authorities across multiple countries are continuing to track passengers and crew members who recently left the MV Hondius in order to quickly detect any new suspected cases in the coming days and weeks. This remains a developing international story that could have significant global health implications if further human transmission is confirmed. We will continue bringing you the latest trending news and stories happening around the world. Tensions between Iran and the United States explode again in the Strait of Hormuz. At a time when the world believed tensions between Iran and the United States were finally beginning to calm down, the situation has suddenly escalated again after explosions and heavy gunfire were reported in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil shipping routes in the world. On Thursday, Iran officially accused the United States of violating the April 7th ceasefire agreement, raising fears that a much larger conflict could erupt once again in the Middle East. According to Iranian state media, multiple explosions were heard near the city of Bandar Abbas and around Qeshm Island, the largest island in the Persian Gulf. Residents described hearing loud blasts and continuous gunfire throughout the night, causing panic among civilians, who feared that the region could be heading toward a dangerous military confrontation. Iran described the incident as a heavy exchange of fire between Iranian forces and what it called the enemy, referring to the United States. Iran's elite military force, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, also known as the IRGC, claimed that American forces attacked Iranian oil storage facilities near the Strait of Hormuz and targeted another vessel near the port of Fujairah. Iranian officials stated that their military immediately responded by launching attacks against American warships operating in the area. Tehran claimed that the retaliation caused serious damage to U.S. forces and their allies, although independent confirmation has not yet been provided. Meanwhile, Donald Trump confirmed that 3 American destroyers came under attack in the strait, but he insisted that no major damage had occurred. Trump also claimed that significant damage had instead been inflicted on Iran's allies during the confrontation. The former U.S. president surprised many observers when he described the military exchange as a small friendly fight, a comment that quickly sparked criticism and intense debate across social media and international political circles. Critics argued that such statements could further inflame tensions instead of encouraging peace talks. Before Trump's remarks, the U.S. military command had already announced that American forces had stopped what they described as provocative attacks against Iran while remaining ready to respond immediately in self-defense if necessary. The U.S. military also emphasized that none of its personnel or equipment had been destroyed and insisted that Washington does not seek a wider war with Iran. However, officials warned that American forces are fully prepared to defend themselves and protect U.S. interests in the region. International analysts say the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most strategic waterways because a large percentage of global oil shipments pass through it every day. Any military conflict in that area could seriously disrupt international trade and cause global oil prices to rise dramatically, affecting economies around the world. Following the latest developments, several countries have started closely monitoring the situation. There are growing concerns that a direct confrontation between Iran and the United States could eventually pull other major powers into the conflict, including Israel, China, or Russia, potentially creating a wider international crisis. In recent days, Donald Trump had claimed that the conflict with Iran would end very soon and stated that negotiations regarding a proposed 14-point agreement between Washington and Tehran were still ongoing. However, after the explosions in Hormuz, many people are now questioning whether those agreements still have any meaning or whether both sides are moving back toward open confrontation. Some political experts believe the military actions may also be part of a strategy to gain leverage in diplomatic negotiations, although Iranian state television reported that daily life continues as normal in several cities. Many civilians remain deeply worried about the possibility of a full-scale war between the two countries. Others fear the economic consequences, especially rising fuel prices, inflation, and instability across global markets. As the world watches these events unfold, millions of people are asking the same question: Is this the beginning of a new major war in the Middle East? Or is it simply another phase of